Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Troy Clark, and I'm here today to welcome you to WSWA's Brand Battle Tournament. This is the alcohol industry's premier pitch competition. This week, you're hearing from some of the industry's hottest wine and spirits brands, battling it out category by category to compete in the 2024 Brand Battle Championship. This year's championship battle will be held in person on stage at Access Live January 30th in Las Vegas. With the who's who from the industry in attendance, a panel of expert judges will crown the 2024 Brand Battle champion. Winners of previous brand battles have earned distribution partnerships and become some of the hottest brands in the U.S. wine and spirits marketplace. Now, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a longtime friend and colleague of WSWA. I am the corporate director of mixology and spirits education for the Martignetti Companies and the founder and co-owner of 1224 Cocktails. I've been in the restaurant and hospitality industry for over 25 years with companies like Sonesta Collection, the Ritz-Carlton Marriott Corporation, Loews Hotels, Marcus Hotels and Resorts. I'm thrilled to be your host today for the Miscellaneous category competition. This is the first year we have had a miscellaneous competition, and this was created since we have so many unique and interesting submissions. Brand Battle is a terrific opportunity to see, hear, and taste new brands on the forefront of growth and opportunity. Today, you'll be hearing from three different brands who will spend a few minutes each presenting information about their products. After each presentation, the judges will have a few minutes to ask questions and provide feedback. I encourage all of you watching to add your own questions and thoughts in the chat box at the bottom of the screen. We will try to answer all questions that come through during the tournament. At the end of today's competition, we will announce our category winner from our judges' votes. The winner of today's tournament will move on to the championship brand battle live on stage in Las Vegas on January 30th. Okay, let's get into it. I'd like to start off our competition by introducing our esteemed panel of judges that we have with us today. Together, this group of wholesalers and retailers represent businesses varying in size from across the country and bring over 100 years of combined experience and expertise in the wine and spirits industry. These industry leaders are always looking for the next up-and-coming brand. First up, we are fortunate to be joined by Steve Fetty. From humble beginnings at a bottle-flipping TGI Fridays bartender, he has risen to become Artistry and Innovation Director for Allied Beverage of New Jersey, where he oversees a dynamic portfolio of artisanal brands, account menu development, and spirits education. Steve has curated and collaborated on menus for over 250 bars and restaurants and is an award-winning mixologist, along with being a certified spirits professional. Welcome, Steve. Next up, we have Courtney Schutt from Imperial Beverage. Courtney is the spirits portfolio manager for Imperial Beverage. Courtney sets the foundation for supplier success by creating the go-to market strategy that will drive the business, cultivating relationships that lead to great partnerships, and building a portfolio that will maximize impact and long-term growth. Welcome, Courtney. Jenna Opie with Breakthrough Beverage Group is joining us. Jenna resides in South Florida and has spent almost 15 years in the industry on the distributor side with Breakthrough Beverage Group, promoting sales resources and systems, B2B e-commerce, digital content, and now has spent the last 2 years as the National Director of Emerging Brands with Breakthrough's emerging and craft team, Trident. She leads the Breakthrough Beverage Group's network, new and emerging brands, vetting, hunting, and potential market expansion opportunities. Welcome, Jenna. And last but not least, please welcome Joel Whitaker. For 40 years, Joel has been writing Cane's Beverage Week, and in the last 14 years, Cane's Beverage News Daily. While those publications report current news, he focuses on anticipating what's next. He was one of the few people to warn of the tech stock bubble in 2000 and the Great Recession in 2008-2009. Before acquiring Cane's, Joel was an editor for the St. Petersburg Times, Wall Street Journal, and managing editor of Institutional Investors Bank Letter. When he's not covering alcohol, he's teaching communications, public relations, and news writing for Prince George's Community College and the University of Maryland Global Campus. Welcome, Joel. Thank you to everyone for participating as judges for today's competition, and I look forward to hearing your feedback for the contenders and their products. Now, let's get to the part you all came here to see, our contenders. Today, we are excited to hear from 3 unique companies who were selected to talk about their products, representing a wide variety of new brands. The brands we will hear from today are Sire's Scandinavian Bitters, Chacho Jalapeno Infused Aguardiente, and Suyo Pisco. Now that we know the players, let's get started. Please welcome our first contender of this tournament, Klaus Sire Karstensen from Sire's Scandinavian Bitters. Klaus is the founder and co-owner of Sire's Scandinavian Bitters. Klaus developed a lemon bitter for a cocktail competition as he couldn't find one that did what he needed. The bitter was so well received that he developed a full lineup and ended up starting his own company of organic bitters made with the highest quality of organic produce and alcohol. Take it away, Klaus.
Hi, as I said, my name is Klaus, and we do all organic bitters with no additives, sugars, or sweeteners. They're very dense in flavor, so it's a completely different way of working with bitters than it's usually been, sort of traditionally. Everything we do as an honest product. So when we developed the first bottle that we're changing now, I'll come back to that in a moment, we did it so it has grip, so you can work behind the bar and it doesn't slip. If you take out the dropper, there's dosage lines on the dropper, so you can work fast. I think the main thing for me as a bartender, I've been behind the bar for 23 years, is sort of figuring out how I would do a product, the perfect product to work fast behind the bar, but also taste great. We're going to change the look of the bottle to a 100 ml for the American market. It still has grip on the side. It'll still have dosage lines on the doser, but then you can line them up like books on the top of the bar if you have more than one. So again, what it is will say on the sides, not the logo and stuff, but just what kind it is. So you can grab it quickly and you can work fast. The main part of doing bitters for me is working fast, because if you can't work fast, it doesn't work. I wanted to do something that would look nice behind the bar or on top of the bar without having to go into dropper bottles or something else like that. So that's the one part of the business. The other part is that we have taster sets. So with the taster sets, there's a quick intro on the inside of the lid. We also have an inlay note that has a little QR code. And if you scan that as an at-home bartender, you get an introductional video. And we explain how to work with the bitters, how the variety works. You can combine them, and it's smaller bottles. So there's more to work with. But honesty has been the main thing for our company. Going through everything, we started during COVID. We didn't know that was going to happen, as everybody else didn't. And then it was just sort of working with people that we know. It was taking everything I know from working behind the bar and putting that into a bottle. That's also why it doesn't have additives or sugars. I think the way to go now is looking at as sustainable as possible with your brands, working with things that work quickly. They're very dense in flavor because of that. They're not that high in alcohol. They're only 39.5 in ABV. Our goals of the brand is to work closely with an importer and a distributor. The ones that import and distribute it in the US know the market way better than we do. We just want to sort of help bring that to market. And again, back to the honesty. We're going to build, we're on the verge of building right now. I lost that. Part of the website where you can go in and you can either search what alcohol you use as a base or what bitters you use. So it's a thing where if you upload something on, say, Instagram or Facebook and you tag us, we can contact you and ask you if we can use your recipe, and you'll get credited on the website as well. So it's a knowledge share for everybody sort of to work with. So it's going to be really interactive. That's the way we work with things everywhere. We've been really well received. We're in the top bars in Denmark. We're going into some of the top bars in the UK. We're in Italy right now. We're working on the rest of Europe, but the main market for us, of course, is the US. It's by far the biggest market on bitters, and that's the next step for us. Also, we can pair with anything. We can go with low alc, we can go with no alc, because the dosage is so low that it won't change it. You can get a lot of flavor into the cocktail or mocktail or whatever you want to call it. We even have wine bars and beer bars that's using it in their products as well, or adding them to beer to go in that direction. And we've had a few restaurants that's using the rosemary and the thyme in their food. And we even have a bakery in Canada that started using the rosemary and the thyme in baked goods. So it's all about the process of
30 seconds.
So we want to put feet on the ground. We want to help sort of create a brand that's honest and easy to work with.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Klaus. Great presentation. Now let's bring back our panel of judges for some Q&A. I'd like to start with Jenna from Breakthrough. Jenna, what are your thoughts?
Thanks, Troy. Hi, Klaus. Nice to meet you. Thank you for that presentation. I really thought you have a thought-out brand, especially coming from the bartender side, so really appreciate that. My questions are, entering the U.S. markets, what market or markets are you looking to focus on, and what resources do you plan on putting into those markets if you were to launch?
Well, we have a guy in the U.S., Mark Hernandez, who's based in New Jersey. Mainly, we've been at expos in New York, Chicago, and San Diego, and the feedback from everywhere has been great. But I think the network-wise, right now we have a lot of people asking for it in Chicago and Illinois in general. We've spoken to Levy, I think they're called. Restaurant group in Chicago that's really wants to get a hold of the products. So that would be sort of one of the main points, just from sort of knowing a little bit about it. But it depends on who we're talking to and working with.
Excellent. Thank you, Jenna. I'd like to move things over to Courtney. Courtney, do you have some questions?
I do, yes. Thank you, Klaus. That was really great. You talked a lot about your cocktail kits, and you talked about the starter kit, and you talked about your new packaging format, but what I did not hear was pricing. So I'm curious what you are pricing these for, and how many bottles are going to come in a case, because a lot of times when you're distributing things like bitters, the retailer will have to buy an entire case. So will this be a variety pack? Or are you going to do just one flavor and a full case of that? I guess that would be what I'd be most curious about.
So the way we're looking at packaging right now is that it's going to be a full case of 12, but then there's going to be sort of inside the box, there'll be 4 to a set. So you get 4 of the same that you can just pick up and take out of the box. I'm sorry, what was the other question?
You had packaging.
It was
and
about
pricing and variety pack.
And
Yeah,
yes, and if you're
pricing.
doing a variety pack, or if it was just one.
So for pricing, it's really hard for us to sort of figure out how much to put on top of it. But before everything, we're at about, we're 15.4 per bottle. So it comes to about 3 times as much, but because of the lower dosage, we've calculated that per cocktail for a bar, it'll cost a maximum of 7 cents to switch from a brand that's sort of in the lower categories compared to ours.
Excellent.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. And then from our last question, I'd like to move over to Steve. Steve?
Yes, Klaus, great presentation. Thank you for asking the questions about the price, Courtney. What do you have any kind of direct-to-consumer program in place that you're working on? Because looking at your website, I mean, it's basically asking for someone to say, buy this now.
No, we don't.
Any plans in the future to be doing something like that? Might be easier to work with distributors across the country.
There's a lot of people that's been sort of pushing us to get online in the US. There are a few bits now. Figuring out everything sort of going in the right direction for us is key, because we're new and because we know we have to scale things for the US. We want to make the right decisions, and sort of back to the honesty thing. I think looking people in the eye and figuring out what's the right way to do it is the main thing for us.
Got it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. Klaus, thank you so much for kicking us off. We are now going to move on to our second competitor. We have Daniel Ziegler from Chacho. Chacho is distilled from pure South American cane sugar and infused with natural jalapeno flavors, giving it a perfectly smooth yet fiery finish. Dan is immersed in every aspect of the business, from product research and development to creation of the brand to continued sales and marketing efforts today. He has led the company through all major milestones, including the launch, the distillery build-out, navigating COVID challenges, and now growing Chacho's distribution and to reach new heights. Take it away, Daniel.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm really excited to be here today and appreciate the opportunity. My name is Dan Ziegler. I'm the founder here of Chacho. We're based out of Washington, D.C. So Chacho is a jalapeno infused, what's called aguardiente. A lot of people are not familiar with aguardiente. Aguardiente is a South American inspired sugarcane spirit. It is most famously the national drink of Colombia, South America. So I went down there just on vacation with some friends a few years ago. I found out about the kind of liquor, came home though, and for 2.5 years, I was moonshining out of my kitchen right here in the district to do my own version with a spicy jalapeno kick. So the first thing I like to point out to distributors and kind of get people's heads around is that we are not targeting existing aguardiente drinkers. In fact, I do not even consider existing aguardientes on the market to be our competitors. We are really trying on the consumer front, we are really trying to convert adventurous consumers who are looking for something fun, different, exciting, obviously spicy with the jalapeno. But we find, first of all, we know that the existing aguardiente market is extremely small. And those consumers are very loyal to the brands that they know and grew up on. Rather, we're trying to do something kind of what I've seen Mezcal do over the last several years and kind of create a new market and pull our consumers from the tequilas, vodkas, rums of the world, people who are looking for something different and exciting and spicy. So that's what we're targeting on the consumer front. On the bar front, a big thing that we're pushing is that we solve a problem. So spice is on a huge upward trend right now. We really think that we can ride that. And there's two problems. One, there's not a single product that goes behind the bar that you grab when you want something spicy. All these different products, there's several different products out there with spice, but they really kind of stick in their lane. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So we can be the one bottle for basically any cocktail. And then the second thing is the existing solutions to the problem of spice is one, if you do it in-house, either your own infusion or muddling jalapenos, you get totally inconsistent spice. Whereas every batch, every bottle of Chacho is consistent, same level of spice each time, yielding a consistent cocktail. And the second thing is no cost of labor. It takes any of the pressure off of the bartenders and things like that. And we do it at a great value. We'll talk about price in a second as well. So we've really found that we've gained kind of a cult-like following. People, when they taste Chacho, they love it. It sounds very niche with the spiciness, but it's not totally overbearing. It holds its legs in a cocktail. So when it's there, you know it. But it really appeals to a broad consumer base. And when people try it, they love it. We have a 79% reorder rate off-premise and 82% on-premise. And so when people taste it, they love it and they become loyal customers and really are brand ambassadors for us. So what separates Chacho from other brands, both spicy and not on the market? It's really three things. It's the taste itself. It is the versatility, which I touched on a little bit already, and it's our story. So the taste, I hope everyone's had a taste, been able to taste it. We have two versions. We have our flagship. This is what anybody knows and loves, unaged, perfectly clear. With this one, really nice and smooth up front, a little bit of sweetness from that sugarcane, spicy on the back from the jalapeno, but it's not spicy to be spicy. It's very green, very earthy, very fresh. This we sell in all of our markets. The barrel aged, which is the same liquid, but aged in bourbon barrels, we only sell in our home market here. So clear, our flagship. The really other cool thing about Chacho is you never really get an alcohol forward flavor, because when the alcohol would normally kick in, that's when the spiciness takes over and you really get the green, fresh earthiness that dominate. So because of that lack of a forward alcohol flavor, that leads us to our second point, the versatility. So it's very versatile in two ways. One, it can be both a base spirit or a modifier. No way to truly tell, but I've approximated that 80 to 85% of our depletions come from using Chacho as a base spirit, with the remaining 15 more as a modifier. But because of that lack of alcohol forward and really just the spice and the green notes shining through, we treat this and see bartenders treat this in cocktails as a light rum, tequila, vodka, or gin replacement, basically any light based spirit. So being distilled from sugarcane, I want to be clear, technically aguardiente, Chacho all falls under the rum family, but it tastes nothing like rum. So existing spicy, tequilas really stay in their lane with margaritas and palomas. The vodkas we really only see in Bloody Marys, whereas Chacho on the base spirit and classic cocktails, we just won Best Margarita by Washington City Paper here in DC.
30 seconds.
It makes an amazing Paloma, mojitos, daiquiris, Bloody Marys, you name it, it makes it. And then finally, the last thing is our story. So when I was in Colombia, I was riding a llama through the streets of Bogota, drunk on aguardiente for the first time when I got the whole idea to do this thing. And that llama's name was Chacho. So that's what we got. Appreciate everybody's time and hoping that soon everybody's riding the llama with us.
Great job, Daniel. Now let's bring back our panel of judges for some Q&A. It looks like Joel is on his way down to South America. Maybe he stopped in the Caribbean, I don't know. But Joel, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's an interesting story to start with, and I don't know if I'd have the courage to ride a llama, but that's between me and the llama, I guess. Tell us a little bit about your distribution here in the States a little bit more, if you could. I know you said home market, which I presume is DC or at least the DMV. Where else?
Yeah, so we're DC, Maryland, Virginia, Las Vegas, and New York. The vast majority, about 80% of our depletions are coming from the DMV. Vegas has been an extremely strong market. We've really found that, at least to start, this brand is built on premise. Now in DC, we have really strong off-premise business as well. In Maryland and Virginia, we've built that a lot with tastings. It's a huge thing, it's cliche, but liquid to lips. Nobody comes into the liquor store looking for a jalapeno aguardiente. We need to convince them. And in Vegas, essentially 100% of our depletions, and New York, for that matter, are on premise. But those are our existing markets right now.
Excellent.
And one follow-up question on that is, a former New Jersey, and I know on behalf of Steve, I have to ask, how come you're in New York but not in New Jersey?
So we're right now in New York, we're with a very small wine shop, but then they don't distribute over into New Jersey, but we are hot in pursuit. So I was excited to hear that today.
Good. Thank you so much. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
I'd like to move over to Jenna. Jenna, you're so close to the source here, as far south as you can get there in Florida. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we're Aguardiente Central here. So cool story, Daniel. Great package. I get the pepper and the spice category is really on trend right now. And it's interesting to hear that you're going after all other bases other than like really just sticking in the aguardiente. My question, I guess, is more on the lines of your pricing strategy and what you're looking for versus your competition currently. Because if you're not going to be against the aguardiente, are you comfortable in that price point that you're at, and where is it?
We are very comfortable. We tend to be we tend to be a pretty significant value discount to our major competitors. I won't name by name or anything, but we try and target a wholesale price around $20 to $22 per bottle. And that's a 750 ml. So well under $1 an ounce. We really want to be approachable from a cocktail perspective and get on cocktail menus. So at under $1 an ounce, closer to 80 cents or 80 cents an ounce, we almost never get pushback as far as pricing goes from the on-premise. And then on the shelf, we tend to go around 28 to 32, $29.99 is kind of our sweet spot on the shelf. And again, that's a very approachable price for consumers. So yeah, that's kind of our wholesale pricing and our retail pricing targets.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Jenna. I'd like to shift over to Courtney. Courtney, you look like you're really engaged and might have some questions here. So
Absolutely.
throw the baton to you.
Okay. So I am a distributor in Michigan, and right now I think we're a little behind the times, and our consumer base is still getting used to mezcal. And so aguardiente is definitely something that is really outside of the box for us. I don't know of any other ones that are currently being distributed in Michigan. So I guess my question would be twofold. First of all, when you go into a retailer, I love the fact that you have the versatility, especially when it comes to the on-premise. But a retailer is going to want to know where you fit in the set. And so I would love to know if you were pitting yourselves up, if you were going to try to take shelf space, or if you were going to be adjacent to somebody, who would that be?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I always tell people our biggest advantage is also our biggest challenge. We're a really unique, really different brand, but at the same time, we need to kind of educate people on aguardiente. We could really easily take steps to call this a rum or a vodka, but it doesn't taste anything like either of those products. And so that's our advantage, but also, of course, our challenge as far as the education goes. But if you're talking about putting us on the shelf, so I have to say this, every consumer, when they taste it, they want to put it in the tequila category. I go through the whole spiel when I'm doing a tasting about how it's distilled from sugarcane under the rum family. They take a sip and go, dude, this is the best tequila I've ever had. So sometimes we don't fight that. A lot of the retailers just put it in the tequila category naturally, but where we actually request to be on the shelf is next to cachaças and piscos. We have a fellow pisco, which I know isn't distilled from sugarcane, but kind of classically South American spirits, just because that is kind of the most true, or in the rum category, I should say, because of the sugarcane, but cachaça, sugarcane adjacent or rum adjacent. So that's where I believe we belong on the shelf, but we don't fight hard when the retailers
You just want to be on the shelf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We like to be eye level on the shelf.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Courtney. And thank you so much, Daniel, for a great presentation. We are now on to our final contender, and that is Alexander Hilbrand from Suyo Pisco. Alex is a Peruvian American who was born in Lima, Peru. Alex and a fellow Peruvian American friend decided that they wanted to create something that built a strong connection between their two cultures. They fell in love with Pisco after visiting several small family-owned vineyard producers, so they decided to follow their dreams and to create a platform that empowers artisanal Pisco producers and shines a light on Peru's unique terroir and culture. They called it Suyo, which translates to the Quechua and yours in Spanish. Welcome, Alexander.
Thanks for having me. Can you hear me okay?
You're great.
Great. Well, first of all, nice to meet everyone virtually, and thanks for your time. Awesome job to the other contestants. Some super interesting brands that I wish I could try myself. As Troy already said, my name is Alex Hildebrand. I'm a co-founder of Suyo Pisco. I'm a Peruvian American who was born in Lima, Peru, and moved to the U.S. with my family when I was young. Growing up in an immigrant family taught me very early not only work ethic and value system that I'm proud of, but it also created a desire that just grew stronger and stronger as I grew older to build a closer connection with my home country. So Suyo ended up becoming that bridge, and I'd like to invite you all to cross that bridge with me. I started Suyo with a business partner whose name is Ian, and he lives in Peru. So between the US and Peru, we kind of have that bridge already, and then we're just continuing to build it as we grow. But before we dive into Suyo, I just want to talk super quickly about Peruvian Pisco. Pisco is a denomination of origin controlled product. So it has to come from a very specific process, specific varietals, and from specific regions. Because of this process, when I tell you that Pisco is made from 100% grapes, we actually mean 100% grapes. So with that said, we created Suyo to reimagine the Pisco category. I want to tell you a little bit more about Suyo. So Suyo means region in Quechua, as Troy said. This was the language of the Incas and the indigenous people to this day. So that's a nod to our single origin concept. And their empire was split into 4 Suyos, hence the name Suyo. Suyo also means yours in Spanish, the language that is mostly spoken today. And that's a nod to our producers. Pisco is a really awesome mixture of the viticulture of the Spanish. The grapes were brought by the Spanish in the 1500s. That's blended with agricultural expertise of the indigenous people, who are the Incas, who were experts at cultivating their land. So pisco is an excellent representation of that. Pisco means bird in Quechua. That's why we chose this logo up here. The port of Pisco, where the grapes were first imported and where they were first exporting aguardiente de Pisco, which became known as Pisco, was coming from this port, and it had a lot of birds. So the emperor at the time called it Pisco. Our logo is a huaco, which is this little bird here. It's a pre-Columbian artifact. It's a ceramic vessel that the indigenous people used to drink water out of. This was way before the Pisco days. And our label shape is very intentional. It's shaped after a botija, which is also a large ceramic vessel that in the early days they used to transport, first to rest Pisco and then to transport Pisco. So our label really tells a story. We also wanted to make sure that our label essentially becomes a tech sheet. So what makes Suyo different? You'll hear me say single origin a lot, but what does that actually mean to us? We partner with producers from regions all across the country to create piscos that are single varietal, single vineyard, and single vintage. So because of the way we set up our model, we're able to explore Peru's incredibly diverse terroir. And each one of our releases celebrates this batch-to-batch distinctiveness that comes from terroir. So different vintages, different varietals, different producers. A key tenet of our brand is transparency. Hence why we put, as I mentioned, all that information on every single label. So you'll see the name of every single producer, the vineyard where it's located. We have a literal map on our label, altitude, average annual rainfall, soil content, et cetera. Our goal is to ultimately empower producers and remain transparent along every single step of the way. We also believe in people and purpose before profit. So you'll hear a lot of P's here. Apologize for that. Before we decided to launch Suyo, we first agreed that the only way we would do this is if there was a strong social component. And so that's what we did. Suyo is 100% Latino owned, as I mentioned, myself and my fellow Peruvian business partner, and 100% Peruvian operated. We actually have a 100% female owned vineyard that we work with too. We currently work with two, and interestingly enough, has a surprisingly strong female representation in the production, which is very uncommon in the industry. I mentioned these 4 Ps. The 4 Ps, I mentioned there'd be multiple Ps. The 4 Ps we sort of rely on as our principles represent the 4 Suyos. It's going to be people, place, product, and process. People is who we partner with. So we work exclusively with family-owned artisanal producers. Our Pisco selection criteria starts with building long-term relationships with people who we really enjoy being around. Once a producer joins the Suyo platform, they share in our revenues. So each producer gets a direct percentage of gross revenue, not profit, just to be clear, it's gross revenue of every single bottle we sell. So this allows us to align producer incentives with our own and promote sustainable growth, helps them invest in their vineyards, and ultimately helps them support their local communities as well. The second P is place, provenance or origin. So everything we do is single vineyard. We focus heavily on educating about the place of origin. As I mentioned, Peru is, I may have mentioned, is incredibly biodiverse. The DO covers coast, valley, altitude, desert. So our model allows us to source Pisco from anywhere that we love within these regions. And that's part of why you'll hear us refer to Suyo as a discovery mission more than just a brand of Pisco. Every label shows the map, as I mentioned, so you see precisely where everything comes from. We currently work with 2 producers. One is on the Pacific coast, and one is in a valley between the Andes Mountains, just down the road in the same region. What you tasted there, you have the Quebranta in Italia. That comes from both from the same vineyard. It's a coastal vineyard, so you get some of these really fun high acidity notes that come from the ocean breeze and the sunlight, and some minerality as well in the vineyard. The third P is going to be product. So everything that we do is single varietal, or what we call a puro in Peru. From vineyard to bottle, we highlight this fact. We only use 1 ingredient during the entire process. So what you're tasting came literally 100% from the grape. We currently work with 2 grape varietals, as I mentioned. There's the Quebranta, and then there's the Italia, which is from the Muscat of Alexandria family. We feel that these 2 most effectively represent the flavor range of the category, so that's why we chose those to launch with. And then the final P is going to be process. Everything that we do is going to be single vintage. So each release only comes from 1 year's harvest. We spend a lot of time educating about this. We do staff educations. I spend a lot of time doing that. Tastings off premise and on digital
30
media.
seconds.
Thanks, Troy. Digital media educating a lot about this particular concept. Our Pisco is naturally fermented, so 100% ambient yeast, single distilled per the denomination of origin, and distilled to proof. So no water ever touches the inside of any of our bottles. In fact, we rinse the bottles with the heads and tails of the distillate, really as a way to emphasize the purity. And because there's nothing ever added during the process, there's no room for additives by law, so it's all natural 100%. Our ABV changes from release to release, and we're always transparent about that on every label. Ultimately, our model allows us to celebrate the individuality that comes from Peru's terroir in each harvest year, and we're really excited about that. The process from producer to producer varies a little bit, but always within accordance of the Peruvian denomination of origin. We just allow them to put their DNA on every single release. To summarize, we're committed to innovating and positioning Pisco in a way that nobody has before, and we're really excited about elevating Pisco on a global stage. So thank you all for your time, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alex. Great presentation. Really love the logo. Really cool. We're going to bring our panel of judges back, and let's start this off with Steve.
Alex, great presentation. Wonderful package. Tasty, tasty juice. Thank you very much. I guess what I want to say is first is I love where you're coming from with this, because Pisco, there's really no one doing this in this realm right now. We're doing that single vintage, single variety kind of style. And I think it's going to put a lot of attention on the brand itself. Love the social media presence. My question is kind of silly. Are you planning on making those little bird ceramic cups? Because that right there is an opportunity to get things into the on-premise. You want people drinking cocktails, give them a ceramic bird. They're gonna suck that down.
Yeah, so we do those in Peru right now. These are all handmade. So I have a woman who I work with in Lima who makes really awesome stuff. So we actually are making, we're on cocktail menus in Peru where they're pouring Pisco out of these, pouring suyo out of these. And the US actually just got back a couple weeks ago. I brought back a bunch of, we have these little copitas handmade that say suyo at the bottom, and they have a little bird. So these I love to hand out to bartenders, to friends, people who I can tell the brand and the story really resonated with. So yeah, as a starting point, they're all handmade, so we make them at a very limited scale. But at a certain point, yeah, at the risk of being a little bit too gimmicky, I think it would be fun to, at a larger scale, make these birds so that you can sort of see them on premise, and maybe people can have them at home. I think that's a really cool idea.
Gotcha. I did have a question there, because it's single batch and everything, and the ABV changes. Are you going to control that ABV so like your prices don't change from season to season, or are you going to kind of just let it ride, and whatever you land at, that's the price you're going to be charging?
Great question. Our price to the wholesaler and ultimately what ends up at retail is going to remain the same. So any modifications, minor variations of ABV, that falls on us. We're always we always aim for kind of the 42 to 43% ABV range. We're typically not going to be too far off of that, but again, in the spirit of transparency, there's no watering it down. So we can't be precise. The only way that you can be precise is once you start mixing batches from different vineyards. That's how other producers do it, which is totally allowed within the denomination. We just choose to lean heavily in a single varietal, single vintage, single vineyard. So we lean into that sort of batch to batch uniqueness, but it's always going to be kind of in that 42, 43% range, and it's not going to be impactful to the price.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. Great questions, and thank you, Alex. Joel, let's move over to you.
And I'm going to come back to the same question on distribution, because obviously WSWA, there's going to be some distributors who might want suyo. So where are you now, and are you looking for distributors? I guess that's an obvious question or obvious answer, but go for it.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's so currently we're distributed within Skurnik Wine and Spirits footprint. Starting off in New York is where we launched the brand in 2022. And over the course of 2022, they rolled us out in all of their markets, which is 8 in total. And our focal markets within that have been New York and California. I'm based on the East Coast, but I'm actually in Massachusetts. So where I sit, my home market is Boston. I live in Boston, and we distribute with Ruby Wines here. And we tend to focus on distributors who are really good at storytelling and who are able to give it hands-on attention. So they've been really good for us. Moving forward, our focal markets are DC, Florida, and Texas, because we know that the demographics are really strong for Pisco consumption there. So priorities for 2024 are retaining or gaining distribution in those 3 markets.
Good, thanks.
Thank you, Joel. And then last question, I'd like to go to Jenna.
Perfect. Hi, Alex. Nice to see you again.
Hey, Jenna.
So my question then will kind of parlay on his, so DC, Florida, and Texas as your next big markets. What are your plans when launching? Those are three pretty big, different states, but big states, resource wise, marketing wise, anything you can kind of elaborate on would be really helpful.
For sure. So we just brought on our first distribution sales and distribution manager, which is an incredible takes an incredible burden off my shoulders. So I'm very excited about that. That allows me to do some other things and allows us to think about things a little bit differently. What we've done in each of our core markets is we've before making any full-time hires, we bring on brand ambassadors who we know we've built loyalty within, and they are on premise at the moment. So these are currently bartenders who really love the brand, love the story. We're on their cocktail menus typically, and they really, really move a lot of suyo because they like it. We organically build those relationships. We bring them on our platform. So we have a brand ambassador who we just brought on in Massachusetts, where I live. We have one in New York, and then in California. My intent would be in each of the new markets to follow a similar strategy. As a small brand, as you know, it's difficult to hire a full-time resource to go attack these markets. But the tip of the spear will always be bringing on a brand ambassador to help us tell the story before we get to that. And then on the ground, it's hand-to-hand combat. Tastings are critically important to us, and staff educations are really where I spend the vast majority of my time. So on premise with the staff educations, off premise with the tastings.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jenna, and thank you so much, Alex. Thank you to all of our competitors and judges. We will now send our judges to do the difficult task of deliberating on this category winner, who will move on to the championship round live on stage at Access Live on January 30th in Las Vegas. So don't go anywhere while our judges deliberate. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you got some great information as our judges were determining today's winner of the Miscellaneous Brand Battle Tournament, who will proceed to the Brand Battle Championship in Las Vegas, live on stage at Access Live. So today's winner of the Miscellaneous category, drum roll, is Suyo Pisco. A big congratulations to you on your win. Your award will be mailed to you in the next few weeks. I would like to thank all of our contenders who participated today. Outstanding job, outstanding effort. And Suyo, Alex, someone from WSWA will be in contact with you later today. And congratulations to everyone. And we hope to see you all at Access Live.
Thank you so much, Troy. Thanks to everyone who had a chance to talk to. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Cheers.
Thank you. Congrats, Alex.
Salud.